Have you ever felt like the world around you is a mirror reflecting your deepest thoughts and beliefs? Well, you're not far off. Today, we're diving into two mind-blowing ideas that could change your life forever: the law of attraction and the law of assumption. You might think they're just fancy words for positive thinking, but trust me, there's so much more to it. These powerful concepts have the potential to transform not just how you see the world, but how the world responds to you. Now, you might be wondering, aren't these just some new age woo-woo theories? I get it. I was skeptical too at first. But stick with me, because understanding these laws could be the key to unlocking a life you've only dreamed of. It's not about waving a magic wand or wishful thinking. It's about tapping into a fundamental truth about how our reality works. Here's the thing. If you don't grasp how these laws work, you might be sabotaging yourself without even realizing it. Imagine going through life with a powerful tool at your fingertips, but never learning how to use it. That's what it's like when you don't understand the law of attraction and the law of assumption. You could be missing out on incredible opportunities, amazing relationships, or the career of your dreams, all because you haven't learned to harness these principles. But don't worry, you're not alone. Most people go through life unaware of how much control they actually have over their circumstances. They feel like victims of chance, tossed around by the whims of fate. But what if I told you that you have more power than you ever imagined to shape your reality? That's why we're here today. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding of these two powerful laws and how they differ. More importantly, you'll know how to start applying them in your own life. This isn't just about positive thinking or setting goals. It's about fundamentally changing how you interact with the world around you. Let's start with the law of attraction. You've probably heard of this one before. It's been popularized in books like The Secret and countless self-help seminars. But what exactly is it? At its core, the law of attraction states that your thoughts and feelings have a direct impact on what happens in your life. It's like you're constantly broadcasting a signal to the universe, and the universe responds by sending back experiences that match that signal. In other words, what you focus on, you attract into your life. Think of it like this. Your mind is like a powerful magnet. Whatever thoughts you consistently hold in your mind, whether positive or negative, will eventually manifest in your physical reality. It's not just about thinking happy thoughts, though. The law of attraction involves your emotions, beliefs, and actions too. For example, if you constantly worry about not having enough money, you might find yourself in situations where you're always short on cash. On the flip side, if you focus on abundance and gratitude for what you have, you might start noticing more financial opportunities coming your way. Now, this doesn't mean that just thinking about a new car will make one magically appear in your driveway. The law of attraction isn't about instant manifestation. Instead, it's about aligning your thoughts, feelings, and actions with what you want to attract. When you do this, you start to notice opportunities you might have missed before. You become more open to taking actions that bring you closer to your goals. But here's where many people get tripped up. The law of attraction doesn't just respond to your conscious thoughts. It also picks up on your subconscious beliefs and fears. This is why sometimes people find themselves attracting the very things they're trying to avoid. If you're constantly thinking, "I don't want to be poor," your focus is still on poverty, and that's what you might end up attracting. So how do you make the law of attraction work for you? It starts with becoming aware of your thoughts and feelings. Pay attention to what you're focusing on most of the time. Are you dwelling on your problems, or are you visualizing solutions? Are you grateful for what you have, or always wishing for something different? Once you're aware of your thought patterns, you can start to shift them. This doesn't mean ignoring problems or pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing where to put your mental energy. Instead of worrying about what might go wrong, try to imagine what could go right. Instead of complaining about what you lack, focus on appreciating what you have. Visualization is a powerful tool in the law of attraction. Spend time each day imagining your ideal life in vivid detail. How would you feel if you achieved your goals? What would your daily routine look like? The more real you can make it in your mind, the more you're aligning yourself with that reality. But remember, the law of attraction isn't just about thinking and feeling. It's also about taking inspired action. As you align your thoughts and emotions with what you want, you'll start to feel nudges or intuitions about steps you can take. Maybe you'll feel compelled to take a class, reach out to someone, or try something new. Following these intuitions is a crucial part of making the law of attraction work for you. It's also important to understand that the law of attraction works on all levels of your life, not just the big goals. It's affecting your daily interactions, your relationships, your health, and your overall well-being. This is why it's so important to cultivate a positive mindset in all areas of your life. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds great, but does it really work? The truth is, the law of attraction is working in your life whether you believe in it or not. The question is whether you're using it consciously to create what you want, or unconsciously reinforcing patterns you'd rather change. Think about times in your life when you were really excited about something. Maybe you were looking forward to a vacation, or you were passionate about a project. Didn't it seem like everything just fell into place? That's the law of attraction in action. Your positive focus and excitement aligned you with positive outcomes. On the flip side, have you ever noticed how, when you're having a bad day, more annoying things seem to happen? That's also the law of attraction. Your negative focus is attracting more negative experiences. The key is to start using this law consciously. Be intentional about what you're thinking and feeling. Choose to focus on what you want, not what you don't want. Practice gratitude for what you have, and visualize the life you desire. As you do this consistently, you'll start to see changes in your life. But here's the really exciting part. The law of attraction is just the beginning. There's another principle that takes this idea even further. It's called the law of assumption, and understanding how it works can supercharge your ability to create the life you want. Now that we've explored the law of attraction, let's dive into its powerful cousin, the law of assumption. While these two laws are related, the law of assumption takes things a step further in a way that can truly revolutionize how you approach your goals and dreams. So, what exactly is the law of assumption? At its core, this law states that whatever you assume to be true in your life will become your reality. It's not just about attracting things to you, it's about embodying the reality you want to experience. In other words, if you assume something is true and live as if it's already a fact, the outside world will eventually conform to match that assumption. This might sound a bit mind-bending at first, but stay with me. The law of assumption is based on the idea that your consciousness is the only reality. Your assumptions about yourself and the world around you shape everything you experience. It's not just about thinking positively or visualizing what you want. It's about fully believing and acting as if what you desire is already your reality. Let's break this down with an example. Say you want a promotion at work. With the law of attraction, you might focus on visualizing yourself in the new role and feeling excited about the possibility. But with the law of assumption, you would go beyond that. You would assume that you already have the promotion. You'd think, feel, and act as if you're already in that new position. This means you might start dressing the part, taking on additional responsibilities, or speaking with the confidence of someone in that higher role. You're not pretending or faking it, you're living from the end result. You're assuming the state of the person who has already achieved what you desire. Now, this doesn't mean you ignore your current circumstances. You're not denying reality. Instead, you're choosing to live from a different state of consciousness. You're aligning your inner world with the reality you want to experience, trusting that the outer world will catch up. This is where the law of assumption gets really powerful. It's not just about getting things or achieving goals, it's about becoming the person who naturally has those things or achievements. It's a fundamental shift in identity. Think about it this way. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to effortlessly attract success, while others struggle no matter how hard they try? Often, the difference is in their assumptions about themselves and the world. The successful person assumes that good things will happen to them, that opportunities are everywhere, that they're capable of handling challenges. And because they assume these things, they act in ways that make them true. The law of assumption invites you to do the same. Instead of hoping for a better future, you're called to live as if that future is already here. This shift in perspective can be truly transformative. But here's where many people get stuck. It's not always easy to assume something that seems so different from your current reality. This is where persistence and faith come in. The law of assumption requires you to hold on to your desired state even when the outside world hasn't caught up yet. This can feel challenging at first. Your senses might be telling you one thing while you're choosing to assume another. But this is where the real magic happens. As you consistently hold onto your assumption despite any contrary evidence, you start to notice small changes. Maybe people start treating you differently. Perhaps new opportunities begin to appear. Gradually, your outer world starts to align with your inner assumptions. It's important to note that the law of assumption isn't about forcing things to happen through sheer willpower. It's about aligning yourself with the natural flow of creation. You're not fighting against reality, you're working with the creative power of your own consciousness. This law also highlights the importance of your self-concept. How you see yourself is crucial. If you assume you're not good enough, or that success is for other people but not for you, that's the reality you'll experience. But if you assume that you're worthy, capable, and destined for great things, you'll start to see evidence of that in your life. So how do you start applying the law of assumption in your life? It begins with choosing what you want to experience. Then, instead of seeing it as a future goal, you start living as if it's already true. This means adjusting your thoughts, feelings, and actions to match this new reality. For example, if you want to be healthier, you would assume the state of a healthy person. How does a healthy person think? How do they feel? What decisions do they make? You start embodying these qualities now, not waiting until you see the physical changes. Or if you want to be more confident, you assume the state of a confident person. You don't wait to feel confident, you act from that state now. You make decisions as a confident person would. You hold yourself the way a confident person does. This practice requires imagination and persistence. You're essentially living in two worlds at once, the world of your physical senses and the world of your imagination. The key is to give more weight to your imagined reality than to your current circumstances. As you do this, you might find that your desires change. When you start living as if you're already the person you want to be, you might discover new aspects of yourself. You might realize that what you truly want is different from what you thought you wanted. This is all part of the process of growth and self-discovery that the law of assumption initiates. It's also worth noting that the law of assumption doesn't just apply to big life goals. It's at work in your everyday experiences too. The assumptions you hold about your daily life, your relationships, your work, all shape your moment-to-moment reality. This is why becoming aware of your assumptions is so important. Many of us carry assumptions we're not even aware of, and these can limit our experiences without us realizing it. For instance, if you assume that people are generally untrustworthy, you'll likely find evidence to support that belief in your interactions. But if you assume that people are kind and helpful, you'll start to notice more positive interactions in your daily life. The law of assumption invites you to take responsibility for your reality in a profound way. It suggests that your experience of life is a direct result of your assumptions. This can feel empowering, but it can also feel overwhelming at first. It means that if you want to change your life, you need to change your assumptions first. But here's the beautiful thing. You have the power to choose your assumptions. At any moment, you can decide to assume something different about yourself and the world around you. And as you do this consistently, you'll start to see your reality shift to match your new assumptions. This doesn't mean that external circumstances will change overnight. The law of assumption works with natural processes, not against them. But what it does mean is that you'll start to see opportunities you might have missed before. You'll feel more empowered to take actions aligned with your desires, and gradually, your outer world will start to reflect your inner assumptions. The law of assumption also highlights the importance of your emotional state. It's not enough to just think differently. You need to feel different too. This is because your emotions are a powerful indicator of your true assumptions. If you're trying to assume wealth but constantly feel anxious about money, your assumption of lack is stronger than your assumption of abundance. This is why practices like meditation, visualization, and affirmations can be so powerful when working with the law of assumption. These tools help you align your thoughts and feelings with your desired reality. They allow you to practice living in the state of your wish fulfilled. Remember, the law of assumption isn't about denying your current reality or pretending that everything is perfect. It's about choosing where to place your focus and energy. It's about deciding which version of reality you want to align yourself with. As you work with this law, you might find that it challenges some of your long-held beliefs about how the world works. It invites you to question the limits you've placed on yourself and what's possible in your life. This can be uncomfortable at times, but it's also incredibly liberating. The law of assumption suggests that the only real limits in your life are the ones you assume to be true. By changing your assumptions, you open yourself up to possibilities you might never have considered before. It's also important to approach this practice with patience and compassion for yourself. Changing deep-seated assumptions takes time and consistent effort. You might find yourself slipping back into old patterns of thinking and assuming. When this happens, gently guide yourself back to the assumption of your desired state. As you continue to work with the law of assumption, you'll likely find that it becomes more natural over time. You'll start to catch yourself when you're making limiting assumptions, and you'll find it easier to shift into more empowering states of mind. The key is to persist, even when you don't see immediate results. Remember, you're not just trying to get something, you're becoming someone new. This process of transformation takes time, but the results can be truly life-changing. Now that we've explored both the law of attraction and the law of assumption, let's dive into what sets them apart. Understanding these differences is crucial because it can completely change how you approach manifesting your desires. The law of attraction is like placing an order with the universe. You focus on what you want, believe it's possible, and wait for it to show up. It's about asking and receiving. You visualize your goals, feel the emotions of having what you want, and trust that it will come to you. On the other hand, the law of assumption is more like becoming the chef in the kitchen of your life. Instead of waiting for your order, you're creating it yourself. You don't just believe it's possible, you act as if it's already done. It's not about asking and receiving, but about knowing and being. Here's a simple way to think about it. With the law of attraction, you might say, I want to be successful. You'd focus on that desire, visualize success, and try to feel the emotions of being successful. But with the law of assumption, you'd say, I am successful. You'd think, feel, and act as if you're already successful, regardless of your current circumstances. This difference might seem small, but it's actually huge. The law of attraction keeps your desire in the future. You're always reaching for something that's not here yet. But the law of assumption brings your desire into the present. You're living it now in your mind and actions. Another key difference is in how you deal with doubts and negative thoughts. With the law of attraction, you're often told to push away negative thoughts and focus only on the positive. This can sometimes lead to denial or suppression of real feelings. The law of assumption takes a different approach. It acknowledges that doubts and negative thoughts will come up, but instead of fighting them, you simply return to your assumption. If a doubt pops up, you remind yourself, nevertheless, I am your desire. You're not ignoring the doubt, you're choosing not to give it power. This leads to another important difference, the role of action. The law of attraction often emphasizes the power of thought and feeling, sometimes to the point where action seems less important. You might hear phrases like, let the universe handle the how. The law of assumption, while still recognizing the power of thought, puts more emphasis on aligned action. Because you're assuming you already have or are what you desire, you naturally take actions in line with that assumption. You're not waiting for something to happen to you, you're actively creating it through your choices and behaviors. Lastly, there's a difference in the level of detachment. The law of attraction often talks about detaching from the outcome, which can sometimes feel like you're still separate from your desire. The law of assumption, however, is about fully embodying your desire now. You're not detached because you're already living it in your mind. Understanding these differences can help you choose which approach feels more natural and effective for you. Some people find that a combination of both works best. The key is to find what resonates with you and what produces results in your life. Let's take these concepts out of the realm of theory and see how they might play out in real life. Imagine you're looking to start a new career. You've always dreamed of being a successful writer, but right now you're stuck in a job you don't love. Using the law of attraction, you might start by creating a vision board of your ideal writing life. You'd put up pictures of best-selling authors, beautiful writing spaces, and maybe even a vision of your name on a book cover. You'd spend time each day visualizing yourself as a successful writer, feeling the joy and satisfaction of living your dream. You'd focus on the feeling of being a successful writer, imagining what it would be like to wake up every day and do what you love. You might use affirmations like, I'm attracting success as a writer, or the universe is guiding me to my perfect writing career. This approach can be powerful. It helps you clarify what you want and aligns your energy with that desire. You might start noticing more opportunities related to writing. Maybe you'd come across a writing workshop or meet someone in the publishing industry. Now let's look at how you might approach this same goal using the law of assumption. Instead of seeing yourself as someone who wants to be a writer, you'd assume the identity of a successful writer right now. You wouldn't say, I want to be a writer, or even, I am becoming a writer. You'd say, I am a successful writer. This might feel strange at first, especially if you haven't published anything yet. But remember, you're not lying to yourself. You're choosing to live from the end result, assuming the state of already being what you desire. So how would a successful writer think and act? They'd write regularly without waiting for inspiration. They'd study their craft, read widely in their genre, and perhaps join writing groups or attend conferences. They'd submit their work for publication or look into self-publishing options. You'd do all these things not as someone trying to become a writer, but as someone who already is a successful writer. You'd make decisions from this mindset. Maybe you'd set up a dedicated writing space in your home, start a blog to share your work, or reach out to other writers for collaboration. The key difference here is that you're not waiting for external circumstances to change before you embody your desired identity. You're being that person now, in your mind and actions, trusting that the outside world will catch up. This doesn't mean you ignore your current job or responsibilities, but it does mean that you prioritize your writing life, making time for it, even if you're not yet making money from it. You might introduce yourself as a writer at social events, even if you're still working your day job. As you consistently assume this new identity, you might notice shifts in how people respond to you. Opportunities might arise that align with your assumption. Maybe a friend mentions a writing contest, or you come across a perfect job opening for a writer. The law of assumption approach doesn't guarantee instant success. You'll still face challenges and setbacks, but it changes how you respond to these obstacles. Instead of seeing them as proof that you're not really a writer, you'd see them as normal parts of a writer's journey. You'd think, as a successful writer, how do I handle this challenge? This example illustrates how both laws can be applied to the same goal, but with different approaches and mindsets. The law of attraction focuses on aligning your energy and attracting opportunities, while the law of assumption is about embodying your desired state now and acting from that place. As powerful as these laws can be, there are some common mistakes that people often make when trying to apply them. Understanding these pitfalls can help you use these principles more effectively and avoid frustration. One of the biggest mistakes is focusing on what you don't want instead of what you do want. This is easy to do, especially when you're in a situation you're trying to change. For example, if you're trying to attract more money, you might find yourself constantly thinking about your lack of money. With the law of attraction, this focus on lack can actually attract more experiences of not having enough. The law of assumption can help here. Instead of thinking, I don't want to be broke, you'd assume, I am financially abundant. You'd think and act from a place of having enough, even if your bank account doesn't reflect that yet. Another common pitfall is getting too attached to specific outcomes. While it's good to have clear goals, being overly rigid about how things should happen can actually block your progress. Both the law of attraction and the law of assumption work best when you're open to possibilities you might not have considered. For instance, if you're using these laws to find a romantic partner, don't get too caught up in the details of what they should look like or what job they should have. Instead, focus on the feeling of being in a loving relationship and assume that state. The right person might come in a package you didn't expect. Many people also struggle with impatience. They try these laws for a few days or weeks and get discouraged when they don't see immediate results. Remember, you're working with the fabric of your reality here. Big changes often take time to manifest in the physical world. This is where persistence comes in. With the law of attraction, it's about maintaining your focus and belief even when you don't see results yet. With the law of assumption, it's about consistently living from your desired state, regardless of what your current circumstances look like. Another mistake is treating these laws like magic spells, thinking that if you just think the right thoughts or say the right words, everything will instantly change. While these laws are powerful, they work in harmony with your actions, not in place of them. For example, if you're using these laws to improve your health, You can't just think healthy thoughts and expect to become fit. You need to combine your mental work with aligned actions like eating well and exercising. Some people also fall into the trap of using these laws to control others or manipulate situations. Remember, these principles are about aligning yourself with what you want, not about forcing others to do what you want. Trying to use them to control others usually backfires and can create negative energy in your life. Lastly, a common pitfall is ignoring your true feelings. Some people think they need to be positive all the time when working with these laws. But suppressing negative emotions doesn't make them go away. It's important to acknowledge your feelings, even the negative ones, while choosing where to put your focus. With the law of attraction, you can acknowledge a negative feeling, then choose to focus on its opposite. If you're feeling lack, for example, you'd acknowledge that feeling, then deliberately focus on abundance. The law of assumption handles this a bit differently. You'd acknowledge the feeling, but then remind yourself of your assumption. I feel worried about money right now, nevertheless, I am financially secure. You're not denying the feeling, but you're choosing not to let it define your reality. Understanding these common pitfalls can help you use the law of attraction and the law of assumption more effectively. Remember, working with these laws is a practice. It takes time and patience to master them. Be gentle with yourself as you learn, and celebrate the small shifts you notice along the way. Now that we've explored the theories and potential pitfalls, let me share a bit about my own experience with these laws. When I first learned about the law of attraction and the law of assumption, I was skeptical. It all sounded too good to be true, but I was also at a point in my life where I was willing to try anything to create positive change. I started small, applying these principles to minor things in my daily life. I remember one of my first experiments was trying to manifest a free cup of coffee. I focused on the idea of receiving an unexpected free coffee, and to my surprise, later that week, a barista at my local cafe gave me a free drink because they had made an extra by mistake. Of course, this could have been a coincidence, but it encouraged me to keep exploring. I began applying these laws to bigger aspects of my life, my career, relationships, and personal growth. I noticed that as I shifted my focus and assumptions, my experiences began to change. One significant shift happened in my career. I had always dreamed of working in a field I was passionate about, but I felt stuck in a job that didn't align with my values. I started using the law of attraction to visualize my ideal career, focusing on the feelings of fulfillment and purpose I wanted to experience. But it was when I began applying the law of assumption that things really started to change. Instead of seeing myself as someone trying to escape a bad job, I assumed the identity of someone already living their purpose. I started making decisions and taking actions from this mindset. At first, it felt strange, almost like I was pretending. But as I persisted, I noticed subtle shifts. Opportunities started appearing that aligned with my assumed identity. I found myself having conversations with people in my desired field, discovering job openings I wouldn't have noticed before, and feeling more confident in pursuing my passion. Within a few months, I had transitioned into a new role that was much more aligned with my values and aspirations. Was it magic? No. But by assuming the identity of someone already living their purpose, I had opened myself up to possibilities I might have otherwise missed or been too afraid to pursue. This experience taught me a valuable lesson about these laws. They're not about sitting back and waiting for things to happen. They're about aligning your inner world with your desires and taking inspired action from that place. I've also applied these principles to my personal growth and relationships. By assuming the identity of someone who has healthy, loving relationships, I found myself naturally acting in ways that fostered better connections with others. I became more patient, more understanding, and more open to vulnerability. Of course, it hasn't all been smooth sailing. There have been times when I've struggled to maintain my assumptions in the face of challenging circumstances. There have been moments of doubt and frustration when things didn't manifest as quickly as I hoped. But each time I've faced these challenges, I've learned something valuable. I've learned the importance of persistence, of staying true to my assumptions even when external reality hasn't caught up yet. I've learned to trust the process and to focus on the journey rather than just the destination. One of the most profound shifts I've experienced through working with these laws is in my overall outlook on life. I've moved from a mindset of scarcity and limitation to one of abundance and possibility. This shift alone has been transformative, affecting every aspect of my life in positive ways. Looking back, I can see how far I've come since I first started exploring these concepts. While my life isn't perfect, no one's is, it's dramatically different from where I was before. I feel more empowered, more aligned with my true self, and more excited about the future than ever before. My journey with the law of attraction and the law of assumption is ongoing. I'm still learning, still growing, and still amazed by the power of these principles. They've become an integral part of how I approach life, shaping my thoughts, my actions, and my experiences in profound ways. As we wrap up our exploration of the law of attraction and the law of assumption, I want to emphasize that this is just the beginning. These powerful principles have the potential to transform your life in ways you might not even imagine yet. But remember, they're not magic bullets or quick fixes. They're tools that, when used consistently and correctly, can help you create the life you truly desire. The journey of applying these laws is deeply personal. What works for one person might not work exactly the same way for another. That's why it's important to experiment, to find what resonates with you, and to be patient with yourself as you learn and grow. Whether you choose to focus more on the law of attraction, dive deep into the law of assumption, or find a balance between the two, the key is consistency. Make these principles a part of your daily life. Pay attention to your thoughts, feelings, and assumptions. Choose consciously where you put your focus and energy. As you move forward, remember that challenges and setbacks are part of the process. They're not signs of failure, but opportunities for growth and learning. When you face obstacles, return to your core assumptions and beliefs. Ask yourself, how would I respond to this if I were already living my desired reality? Also, don't forget the importance of inspired action. These laws work hand in hand with your efforts. As you align your inner world with your desires, be open to taking steps that move you closer to your goals. Trust your intuition and be willing to step out of your comfort zone. Lastly, be kind to yourself on this journey. Changing long-held beliefs and assumptions takes time. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small it might seem. Every step forward is a victory worth acknowledging. Remember, you have the power to shape your reality. Your thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions are the building blocks of your experience. By understanding and applying the law of attraction and the law of assumption, you're taking control of your life in a profound way. So, as you leave this video, I encourage you to start right now. Choose one area of your life where you'd like to see change. Begin to shift your focus and assumptions around this area. Act as if what you desire is already your reality. And then, watch as your world begins to transform. Your journey to a new reality starts here, in this moment. Embrace it, enjoy it, and trust in the process. The universe is waiting to reflect back to you the greatness that you assume for yourself. It's time to step into the life you've always dreamed of. Your new reality awaits.